guys, I made a whole freaking video, and guess what? My microphone wasn't on the whole time. Well, anyways, this is a bass I made, and I'm gonna post the raw uncut video of me making it after this video. But this is basically what kind of sounds like. Oh, that's kind of loud. But doesn't it sound sick? Doesn't it sound juicy? Okay, well, I'm gonna summarize everything super quick because I did a ton of sound designing and stuff. Oh my, I feel so bad. The last video, the voice cut out, or I didn't turn my microphone on, so this is makes me kind of mad. But first thing, first tip and trick. You know how some people make their basses, right? And they automate this level, so they automate it, for example. And let's say they automate it because they want to give some movement to their bass. Well, I mean, that's how it started, but I wouldn't do that. Why? Cause let me show you in a quickie what happens. Basically, you have your bass, right? You have all your sick phasers, your distortions, your I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound thick. It doesn't sound juicy. And the reason why is because when you're automating this level outside, all your compressors, your reverbs, your space gets cut off the second your level reaches down here. Everything's down to dust. So instead of automating the level, I would automate the level inside of your GMS synths, for example, right here, which sounds better, in my opinion. That's first, okay? And second tip and trick. Let's see what I did. Okay, second tip and trick that I did was if you want to have a thick sub bass, right? And you don't want to be like, oh, let me just open a new GMS, put some sine waves, right? Nah, that's too annoying. And you're going to have to copy and paste and everything. I mean, that's fine. I did it that way, so then you can change your sub bass however you like. But what I like to do, right? Here's my first GMS synth. Here's the phaser, tape delay, reverb, distortion, multiband compressor, and everything I did to the bass, right? But then after that, you add a second GMS synth, right, into your chain. So for example, you go and and then you put your sine wave. I like triangles because I don't know, it gives it a little bit more juiciness. I don't know, but you can hear the bass, right? But then you can hear the sub bass with it, right? And what I always like to do before I add the another generator, the sub bass, I just grab a EQ and take out all the lows, right? Because if it wasn't, it would just sound muddy. I mean, it still sounds great because, you know, I'm a great producer and everything, but I always take out the low end before adding the sub, because this is how it sounds out without the sub. You know what I mean? No bueno, right? No juicy, but you add a sub bass, right? And what I always like to do is kind of add a little bit of distortion after the sub bass. For example, here, just a little bit. For example, I don't like adding much after the sub bass, because after the sub bass you add a chorus or something, it will completely mess up everything, because it's gonna mess up with the sub bass and everything. So I always like to do all my chain, all my effects, my phaser, my tape delay, my reverb, my distortion, my multiband compressor. Oh, by the way, multiband compressor, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. Ooh la la. But you know, your spacer, cut off all the low end. Maybe you can change some of the frequencies to, I don't know, make it sound nicer. But and then always add the sub bass and after, so it's with the pattern, you know what I mean? It's 2 synths in one. It's a whole chain. And then what I like to do is add a compressor to compress the sub bass and the top end and the bass by itself. So this is kind of what it sounds like. I don't know, it adds a little bit more of a tail. And yeah. And another tip I would say is I'll kind of like to mess with my fine, because that gives another trick. Well, it's not another trick. You guys probably learned much more after, I don't know, I haven't uploaded for, I don't know, I guess a year. But this fine, oh la la, it makes everything sound cooler. You know, it changes the character of the sound a lot. And guess what? Makes it sound cool. Another thing that you're hearing on the bass, like for example, I'm gonna show you in a little bit. Let me turn the amount down. That's the bass, right? But then you add the amount. It kind of has a pistol-y, like a pistol sound effect. And let me show you what it is. Basically, you go to your filter of your GMS. And you go to HP filter. You put the HP filter all the time. And what I like to do is turn the cutoff all the way. Put the res, because that's gonna give the jiu. Like for example, you hear that? And put that a little bit down. And the attack all the way down. And put the DK, so you know it's short and sweet. Because if you have it too long, it's gonna sound like booty. I always like having that very, very slight, but gives it a nice character to the sound. And make sure, and if you don't want any of it at all, just put the amount to the middle. Actually, I don't know what does upside down. Well, it does not do anything. But yeah, turn the amount up, decay, just a short and sweet, resonate, and a little bit. But the decay is very, very, you gotta be very precision, or you gotta have a lot of precision to have that, like, that chew sound. I don't know how to explain it. And, you've probably, if you watch any of my other videos, my tape delay trick, I love it. And, for rhythm, I like to have it all the way up, but that kind of just destroys the sound, so I like to keep it down to about 30. And reverb, you know, another thing. If you want to add your reverb, put the decay down. You don't want to have it a lot. You don't want to have it big, because, you know, long decay. Short decay, bueno. You know, not too much. And distortion. I love distortion. I don't understand why I don't see as many people not have a nice distortion, but this distortion, put just a little bit, and don't put it on hard. Put it on tube. I like tube because it's a little softer, you know what I mean? And multi-band compressor. Let me get to that real quick. Multi-band compressor, if you use it to your advantage, you can make it sound kind of like OTT. If you've heard OTTs because you've seen it on FL Studio or on Ableton, they just slap it on and it makes everything sound thick. But I try to replicate it as best as I can. It's not really it, you know, because it's not OTT. But OTT is a multi-band compressor. And this, I just like to, on the mids and highs for the bass alone, I like to put the threshold to about 10, -10, you know, and ratio all the way up, you know. and then the release, attack and release, down. And you know, it kind of has that thickness effect. And just to clarify, for mids and highs, the ratio all the way up, the threshold about -10, and attack and sustain all the way down. And spacer, you know, to add more space. And you know, after that you have your sub bass and then your compressor. And you know, it's the cool thing about making basses. I still don't have a full grasp of what I'm doing. I'm just using my knowledge, but the cool thing is that you can mess around with stuff and get a different sound. For example, I added a phaser thinking it was gonna sound like booty, but it sounds badass. And you know what thing I like? I like using the LFO rate. I don't know why. Put it, you know, sign, and just don't put the mix all the way up. Just a little bit slight, you know what I mean? And your frequency, change that, and you can have a bunch of different sounds. It's really fun, you know what I mean? And another trick, after you're done with the whole thing, right? Let me take these drums out, and let me take the sidechain out. After you're done with that, I said turn off the drums. Right, you have your bass, your sub bass and everything, right? And then put that on another chain and slap even more effects on. For example, I don't like to add a chorus after the whole thing is combined. I like to add a little bit of distortion, even a little bit more distortion, and more multiband compressor, because multiband compressor is yummy, ooh la la, right? If I turn these two off, it's just because all of these make it thicker. Just makes it sound nicer and a little bit fuller. And this leveler is just my sidechain. Then you have your drums. I don't know what these are. Like some super simple, right? But then the bass is what gives it all the magic. It sounds awesome. But yeah, those are a few tips and tricks I learned even more with the new effects that FL Studio Mobile provided. So yeah, this sounds awesome. Use your imagination. Use all the tips I gave you to your advantage all the time. I like my tape delay, my distortion, but remember, distortion and multiband compressor, ooh la la. Just threshold a little bit down, attack release ratio up, and you're gonna have a much fuller and thicker sound. And what else? Well, yeah, and just you can automate some stuff. I automate some stuff because if I didn't, then I don't know how it would sound like. It would sound kind of like, holy moly, it still sounds great. But automation, well, you can have different sounds, but and then this is the most basic bass, not bass, it's kind of complicated, but the most simple rhythm, right? The most simple just 1/4, right? And but you can add third triplets. You can add I don't know, more of this, I guess. Let me try a cool trick. I don't know. Maybe change it and then change the automation. I don't know. I don't know, but mess around. But that's about some things that I could say. I'm probably going to be posting more videos as I learn more myself about basses and making them on mobile. But I'll also post a raw uncut video after this of how I made the bass. But take all these tips and tricks to your advantage, remember. And I don't know, have a great day, guys, or good night. I don't know if you're at 3 a.m. or like 2 a.m. I don't know where you live, but have a great day or great night. I don't know, but use these to your advantage and you'll have something like this, I guess. And you know, that sounds badass as hell, if you know what I mean.